If you've ever wondered why some people chase adrenaline and others cling to tradition, then you're in the right place. Today, we're going to talk about two of the 8 cognitive functions, extroverted sensing and introverted sensing. If you are a sensor, you might not know that extroverted sensing and introverted sensing are very different. So listen to this video and see if you can figure out which one fits you best. Okay, let's start by talking about extroverted sensing. If you are an ESTP or an ESFP, then extroverted sensing is your dominant or most important function. If you are an ISTP or ISFP, then extroverted sensing is your auxiliary function. It's your second function, so it's important, but not as much as your dominant. Now, what do those 4 types have in common? Well, in addition to all being sensors, they're also perceivers. And so when you think extroverted sensing, I want you to think about S plus P. Extroverted sensors equal sensing plus perceiving. And that's because a lot of the attributes that perceivers have in common really impact what the sensing looks like when we look at extroverted sensors. Let's look in more detail at what that looks like. Well, extroverted sensors are bold. They like to take action in the moment. So extroverted sensors don't love long-term plans. They don't love thinking too far into the future. They're really focused on what's happening right now. And because of that, they're excellent at kind of just being present with whatever is happening. Extroverted sensors tend to be very adaptable. They tend to be very flexible. And because of that, extroverted sensors are great to have in a crisis. Extroverted sensors also thrive on new experiences. They live by the motto, I'll try anything once. And so because of that, they also kind of tend to be risk takers. They're the adrenaline junkies of the type world. They also tend to be really good at kind of moving their bodies in space or have really great hand-eye coordination. So extroverted sensors tend to be things like dancers or artists, sculptors. So overall, extroverted sensors live in the now, they take action in the moment, they tend to be risk takers who love adrenaline, and they're really great in a crisis. Now, let's compare that to introverted sensors. If you are an ISTJ or an ISFJ, then introverted sensing is your dominant function. It's your most important function. If you are an ESTJ or ESFJ, then introverted sensing is your auxiliary function. It's that function that's important, but not as important as your dominant. Now, what do these 4 types all have in common in addition to being sensors? Well, they're also all judgers. So when you think about introverted sensing, I want you to think S plus J, sensing plus judging, because that's really what introverted sensors look like. Introverted sensors like to know what's coming. They like to have a plan before they take action. So they like schedules and they like to feel prepared. Also, introverted sensors like reliability. They like predictability, and they like things that feel familiar to them. They tend to love traditions. They like to create holiday traditions and family birthday traditions, but also they love remembering and recalling all of those moments with their family and friends. And that's because although introverted sensors still take in information through their environment and through their senses like extroverted sensors do, introverted sensors then take all of that information and they kind of compare it to what their past experience is. And because of that, introverted sensors trust their internal memories and their internal experience more than, to some extent, more than what they are taking in through their external environment. Introverted sensors crave structure. They want to know what's coming. They like to feel like they have a sense of control over what's coming. And so they use the information they're gathering through their senses to help them plan for what they should do moving forward. And introverted sensors tend not to be risk takers. So they want to focus on ways to mitigate or minimize their risk. And that's one of the reasons why they like to plan. So introverted sensors, planners, they like to know what's coming. They tend to compare their past experience to what's happening right now, and they are not risk takers. All right, hopefully that information helped you, if you are a sensor, figure out whether you are an extroverted sensor or an introverted sensor. And if so, go ahead and put that down in the comments. I'd love to hear about your experience. Thanks so much. See you next time.